The heavy air of the Hollow Carnival pressed in around Lena and Eddie as they moved cautiously through the shadowed midway. The once lively fairground, now a twisted echo of its past, whispered with the voices of the trapped. Faint, flickering lights cast grotesque shadows across the cracked pavement, and the distant, haunting laughter of the carnival seemed to echo endlessly, like the call of a siren pulling them deeper into its heart. Their steps slowed as they entered a dimly lit clearing, where the air grew colder, thick with a sorrow so palpable it weighed on their chests. Figures emerged from the gloom, ghostly visitors caught in the carnival's nightmare. Their faces were etched with fear and regret, their forms wavering like fragile smoke caught in a cruel, unending storm. Lena's breath hitched as she took in the scene, a woman clutching a faded photograph, tears streaming silently down her translucent cheeks. A man who paced in circles, muttering fragments of a forgotten name. A child, eyes wide with terror, reaching out as if to touch something just beyond his grasp. Each soul was trapped in a loop of their darkest memories, reliving moments of horror and loss with no escape. Eddie's voice was low and rough, they recalled. Like us, the carnival feeds on their fear, their pain. It's a prison. Lena nodded, a pang of empathy tightening her throat. She saw reflected in their eyes the same desperation she felt inside the aching void left by her missing brother, the shadow of childhood trauma she had carried for so long. The carnival was a mirror, a grotesque funhouse reflection of the pain it had consumed. As they moved among the souls, a pale figure stepped forward. A woman, translucent and shimmering faintly in the carnival's eerie light, reached out toward Lena with trembling hands. Her eyes, deep pools of sorrow, locked with Lena's. No words passed between them, but the silent plea was clear: help us. The carnival's laughter swelled, a sinister lullaby that wrapped around them like a suffocating shroud. Lena felt a chill run down her spine as the lights flickered violently overhead, casting the clearing into momentary darkness before sputtering back to life. The trapped souls jerked as if stirred by unseen hands, their torment intensifying. Eddie gritted his teeth. We don't have much time. The carnival knows we're here. It's waking up, getting stronger. Lena's resolve hardened. We can't leave them like this. I won't let the carnival claim any more lives. Her gaze swept across the faces of the lost, their silent suffering fueling a fierce determination deep within her. She had come seeking answers, but now she understood the true horror. The carnival was not just a place of fear, but a living nightmare, a ceaseless cycle of pain and captivity. A sudden, anguished cry pierced the air, drawing Lena's attention to a nearby figure, a young boy clutching his knees, rocking back and forth. His eyes met hers, wide and filled with terror. Tommy, the frightened child she had vowed to protect. She stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. Tommy, it's okay. We're here to help. The boy's breath hitched. They won't let me go. Lena reached out, her hand steady despite the trembling that threatened to overtake her. We'll find a way. Together. As the carnival's twisted melodies rose around them, Lena felt the weight of the souls, suffering settle on her shoulders. It was a burden she was willing to bear if it meant breaking the cycle, freeing the lost, and finally confronting the darkness that had haunted her since childhood. But as shadows lengthened and the carnival's malevolent presence tightened its grip, one undeniable truth echoed in her mind: escape would not come easily. The Hollow Carnival was alive, and it was watching. The path ahead was fraught with terror, but Lena's heart burned with a newfound fire. In the echoes of lost souls, she found a call to courage, a promise that she would fight not just for herself, but for every trapped spirit desperate to be free. And somewhere in the depths of the carnival's sinister heart, the ringmaster stirred, his cracked porcelain mask twisting into a cruel smile. The game was far from over. The shadows stretched long beneath the flickering glow of the carnival's half-lit bulbs, the once vibrant midway now a distorted maze of broken dreams and whispered fears. Lena Harper and Eddie Marlowe moved cautiously, their steps crunching on the scattered debris of forgotten festivities. The air was thick with the scent of rust and decayed cotton candy, a bitter reminder of the Hollow Carnival's faded grandeur. Their eyes darted nervously as the ambient noises shifted the distant creak of a rusted ride, the faint echo of laughter that seemed too hollow to be real. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the midway, carrying with it a whisper that curled around Lena's ear, chilling her to the bone. She froze, her breath catching as a pale light coalesced in the mist before them. From the shadows emerged a figure so delicate and translucent it seemed spun from the very fog itself. The woman wore a faded circus costume, its once bright colors muted by time and sorrow. Her hair floated softly around her face as if underwater, and her eyes held a depth of sorrow and wisdom that reached out to touch Lena's soul. "Mara," Eddie whispered, voice thick with a mix of reverence and fear. "They say she's the ghost of a performer who died trying to save others." Mara's gaze settled on Lena, her eyes shimmering with ethereal light. "You seek truths buried in shadows," she said, her voice a haunting melody that seemed to echo from a distant dream. "But beware, for the carnival feeds on more than your fear. It devours your very spirit." Lena swallowed hard, feeling the weight of Mara's words press upon her chest. "What do you mean? How can we stop it?" The ghostly figure's lips curled into a faint, sorrowful smile. "The rides are not mere machines but vessels of torment, fueled by the screams of those trapped within. The ringmaster's hunger grows with the blood moon's rise. You stand at a precipice, choose your path with care, for every step deeper draws you closer to the abyss." Eddie stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "We've seen the power of the carnival. We need to find its source, break the cycle." Mara nodded slowly, her form flickering like a candle struggling against the wind. "Look beyond the surface, listen to the echoes of the lost. Only then can you hope to unravel the curse. But time wanes and the blood moon's peak draws near." She gestured towards the twisted lanes of the carnival, where shadows danced and the laughter grew louder, more menacing. Lena felt a shiver of dread mixed with a spark of determination. Mara's warning was both a beacon and a curse, illuminating the peril ahead while tightening the noose of fear around her heart. As Mara's apparition began to fade, melding back into the mist from which she came, the carnival seemed to inhale sharply, its sinister breath filling the air with a palpable tension. Lena and Eddie exchanged a glance, their alliance now forged in the crucible of shared terror and fragile hope. "We can't turn back," Lena said quietly, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "Not now, not when we were this close." Eddie nodded, the lines of weariness etched deep into his face. "Then we keep moving. We find the truth and we end this nightmare." The carnival's haunting laughter swelled once more, a chilling symphony that promised both spectacle and suffering. Beneath the blood moon's ominous glow, Lena steeled herself for the journey ahead, knowing that every step would draw her deeper into the heart of darkness and closer to the ringmaster's merciless grasp. The ghosts of the past whispered their warnings, the rides creaked with malevolent hunger, and the Hollow Carnival awaited its next act, one that would test the limits of Lena's courage and the strength of her resolve. In the fragile light of Mara's warning, hope flickered like a candle in the storm, fragile but unextinguished, as the night's terror prepared to unfold once again. The House of Mirrors stood like a grim sentinel at the heart of the Hollow Carnival, its once bright colors faded and chipped. The glass panels cracked and warped by time and sinister magic. As the blood moon hung low in the sky, casting a crimson glow over the twisted midway, Lena Harper approached the entrance with a mixture of trepidation and resolve. She tightened the strap of her satchel and took a deep breath, the chill night air filling her lungs with a sharp edge of anticipation. Stepping inside, the world shifted. The air grew heavy, thick with a strange metallic tang that made her skin prickle. The first thing she noticed was the laughter, a soft, distorted echo that bounced off every surface, a hollow mockery of joy that sent a shiver down her spine. Each mirror she passed fractured her reflection in impossible ways, stretching and twisting her image into grotesque shapes that seemed to leer and sneer back at her. Lena's footsteps were tentative at first, the floor beneath her creaking softly as if protesting her intrusion. The mirrors multiplied endlessly, corridors folding back on themselves, creating a labyrinth of glass and shadow. She caught glimpses of herself from impossible angles, some images so warped she barely recognized the resolute young woman with dark hair pulled back and eyes sharp with determination. A sudden flicker caught her eye, a figure behind her reflection that wasn't hers. She spun around, heart pounding, but the corridor was empty. The laughter grew louder, more insistent, swirling around her like a malevolent wind. Panic stirred beneath her calm exterior, but she forced herself to breathe steadily, recalling Eddie's warning that the carnival fed on fear. As she moved deeper, reflections began to change. Her image blurred and then sharpened into the face of a young boy, her brother Tommy, his eyes wide with terror and pleading silently. Lena's throat tightened, memories flooding her mind, the last blood moon when he disappeared, the desperate search, the silence that followed. She reached out to the glass, but the image dissolved into shards of light, leaving her grasp empty and her heart aching. The mirrors around her began to ripple, and from the depths of the glass emerged the imposing figure of the ringmaster. His gaunt frame was draped in a tattered red coat, stained dark with what looked like dried blood, and his top hat sat crooked above a cracked porcelain mask that concealed his cruel smile. He moved with unnatural fluidity, his shadow stretching across the mirrors, distorting and multiplying. His voice was a whisper, yet it filled the space with threatening clarity. "You cannot escape, Lena. The carnival is your fate, as it was his. Fear feeds us all. Scream, and you give us life. Resist, and you become the forgotten." The porcelain mask fractured further, tiny fissures running like spiderwebs as he spoke. Lena's breath hitched, but she forced her eyes to meet the haunting gaze of her own reflection, now split by the ringmaster's looming presence. The carnival's grip was tightening, pulling at her mind with spectral fingers. It was a test, a cruel spectacle where her past and present collided in glass and shadow. Just as despair threatened to overwhelm her, a voice cut through the cacophony. "Lena! Don't listen! It's lies. Remember who you are." Eddie's voice was steady, a beacon in the madness. She turned to see him emerging from a side corridor, his scruffy beard caught in the pale light, eyes sharp with determination. Eddie reached out, taking her hand firmly. The mirrors around them trembled, the laughter faltered, and the ringmaster's shadow receded, though his presence lingered like a dark stain. Together, they pressed onward, navigating the maze with renewed purpose. The House of Mirrors was more than a physical trap, it was a crucible testing Lena's courage, forcing her to confront the fractures within herself. Every distorted reflection was a challenge, every whisper a threat. Yet with Eddie's aid, she found moments of clarity amid the chaos, glimpses of hope shining through the fractured glass. As they neared the exit, Lena paused, staring back at the twisting labyrinth behind her. The carnival's malevolent heart beat loud and clear, pulsing with the screams and fears it had harvested over countless blood moons. She knew the ringmaster's power was growing, but so was her resolve. "We're not done yet," she whispered, voice steady despite the cold clinging to her bones. "This carnival will not claim me. Not tonight." The House of Mirrors shifted once more, a final distorted grin stretching across her reflection before the exit doors swung open, spilling cool night air into the suffocating maze. Lena stepped out, heart pounding, aware that the carnival's horrors were far from over and that the ringmaster was watching, waiting for his next move. Outside, the carnival's faded lights flickered, laughter echoing faintly as the blood moon climbed higher. The twisted midway awaited, with all its terrors and secrets just beyond the shadows. Lena tightened her grip on Eddie's hand, ready to face whatever nightmares lay ahead. But as they disappeared into the darkness, the cracked porcelain mask of the ringmaster gleamed with a sinister promise. the spectacle was far from finished. The night had thickened into a suffocating cloak as Lena moved cautiously through the hollow fairground, the blood moon casting a sinister red glow over everything it touched. The once vibrant colors of the carnival rides were now faded and stained with rust, yet the oppressive atmosphere pulsed with a life all its own. The haunting echo of laughter and distant screams wove through the night air, a macabre lullaby that seemed to reach into the marrow of her bones. Her footsteps, soft but resolute, crunched against the cracked pavement littered with scattered debris and forgotten tokens of joy. Each step forward was a battle against the creeping dread that clawed at her heart, but she knew she could not falter, not now. The carnival was awake, and so too was the darkness that fed it. Somewhere within this labyrinth of twisted metal and broken dreams, another soul was trapped, and Lena's instincts screamed that she was not alone. A faint, almost imperceptible sound caught her attention, a soft whimper carried on the stale breeze near the tilt, a whirl. The ride stood still, its paint peeling and seats torn, yet the faint creaking of its rusted mechanisms suggested that the carnival's heart still beat beneath the decay. Lena's breath caught as she edged closer, senses heightened, the hair on the back of her neck standing on end. Behind a shattered ticket booth, crouched in the shadows, was a small figure. The boy's wide eyes reflected the flicker of broken carnival lights, and his tangled blonde hair fell messily across his pale face. His jacket, a faded red too large for his slight frame, was soaked with dew and grime. He trembled, clutching his knees to his chest as if to make himself smaller, less visible to the horrors lurking just beyond the veil. Lena's voice was gentle but firm as she knelt down, extending a hand. "Hey there, it's okay. You're safe now. I'm here to help." The boy hesitated, eyes darting nervously to the shadows, but the desperation in her tone and the warmth behind her gaze coaxed him forward. His small hand slipped into hers, cold and trembling, and a fragile connection was forged in the darkness. "What's your name?" Lena asked softly. "Tommy," he whispered, voice barely audible. "Tommy," she repeated, the name anchoring her resolve. "We're getting out of here, I promise." Together, they moved through the carnival's twisted corridors like shadows, weaving between warped tents and grotesque carnival props that seemed to leer and twitch with a life of their own. The distant, sinister laughter rang out again, mingling with the creaking Ferris wheeler slow, grinding sound that hinted at the monstrous engine driving this nightmare. Tommy clung tightly to Lena's hand, his small frame shaking with fear, but her presence was a steady beacon in the swirling chaos. She whispered reassurances, though each word was a thread stretched taut against the encroaching darkness. As they approached the House of Mirrors, Lena's breath caught. The entrance was a gaping maw of fractured glass, reflecting distorted images that twisted reality into grotesque parodies. Inside, their reflections shattered and multiplied. Tommy's terrified face overlapped with Lena's determined gaze, creating an eerie dance of light and shadow. Step by step, they navigated the spectral labyrinth, the mirrors warping not just their images, but their perceptions. Lena's heart pounded as memories and nightmares blurred. The carnival's grip tightened, threatening to swallow them whole. Outside, the blood moon reached its zenith, bathing the hollow fairground in an eerie crimson light. Beneath the haunting melody of the carousel's eerie tune, Lena crouched beside Tommy, offering what comfort she could. The boy's quiet sobs mingled with the twisted music, a fragile symphony of hope and despair. "We were going to get out of here," she murmured, brushing damp strands of hair from his face. "I won't let this place take you." But as the carnival's sinister heartbeat quickened, Lena knew their struggle had only just begun. The rides thirsted for screams, and the night was far from over. Somewhere beyond the flickering lights, the ringmaster watched, his cracked porcelain mask hiding the depths of his cruelty and sorrow. Lena tightened her grip on Tommy's hand. Together, they would face whatever horrors the Hollow Carnival unleashed and fight for their chance at escape. The carnival's laughter grew louder, the shadows deeper, and the night stretched on with a promise of terror yet to come. And in that chilling moment, Lena understood the true meaning of the carnival's twisted spectacle. Innocence was the most potent fuel of all. The dance of light and shadow continued, and the blood moon's gaze was unrelenting. Would they survive the night, or become just another echo in the carnival's endless cycle of fear? The air inside the crumbling tent was thick with the scent of mildew, rust, and something faintly metallic like blood, Lena thought, though she dared not speak it aloud. The fading light from a solitary lantern cast grotesque shadows that flickered and danced across the tattered canvas walls. The carnival's eerie heartbeat pulsed faintly beyond the fabric, a distant echo of laughter and the creak of old rides stirring to life under the blood moon's glow. They sat side by side on the cracked wooden floor, backs against the peeling paint of a support beam. Eddie Marlowe's usual sarcasm was absent, replaced by a weighty silence that stretched between them like a taut wire ready to snap. Lena could see the lines carved deep by years of regret and hardship etched on his face, the scruffy beard bristling unevenly as he rubbed a tired hand across it. "You want to know why I'm still here?" Eddie's voice was low, rough, but steady. "Why I didn't just run the moment this place started breathing again." Lena nodded, her sharp eyes fixed on him. She had sensed layers beneath his cynicism, shadows that mirrored her own. "Tell me." He exhaled slowly, the rough sound mingling with the carnival's distant, discordant music. "My sister, Sarah, she got caught up in this nightmare years ago. We used to think the carnival was just old stories, faded memories. But that night, the blood moon rose, and she vanished, just like your brother." Her breath hitched, but she stayed silent, urging him to continue. "I worked here before it shut down. I knew the tricks, the creaky rides, the smells of popcorn and fear. But I never understood what really fed this place until it claimed her. The screams, the terror. They re not just sounds, they re the fuel, the life source of the Hollow Carnival. Every ride, every attraction, every flickering light powered by the suffering it harvests." Lena swallowed hard. The pieces she'd been gathering finally clicked into place, terrible and undeniable. "I tried to save her," Eddie confessed, voice cracking. "But this place, it's a trap. It feeds on hope and despair alike. I'm here because I owe her that much to find a way out, or at least to make sure no one else gets lost in its shadows." The vulnerability in his words softened the rough edges of the man she'd come to rely on. For the first time, their shared pain bridged the gap between stranger and ally. Outside, the carnival's sinister symphony swelled, the distant howl of a carousel, the faint pop and snap of firecrackers long spent. Laughter twisted into something unrecognizable. The blood moon hung heavy and red, casting its ominous light through cracks in the tent. Lena reached out, her hand steady as it brushed against Eddie's arm. "We'll find a way, together." He nodded, a flicker of hope igniting in his sharp eyes. Together. But even as their alliance strengthened, the shadows deepened. Somewhere beyond the tent, the ringmaster's presence pressed close, watching and waiting. The carnival's hunger was far from sated, and the night was still young. "We were running out of time," Eddie muttered, standing and dusting off his pants. "The blood moon's peak is coming. Whatever we do, we have to move fast." Lena rose beside him, determination hardening within her like steel forged in fire. "Then let's not waste another second." As they stepped out into the chilling night, the carnival seemed to pulse with renewed vigor, its lights burning brighter, its laughter louder. The game was far from over, but now armed with truth and trust, Lena and Eddie were ready to confront the darkness head-on. And maybe, just maybe, rewrite the ending that had trapped so many before them. The blood moon hung high, a crimson sentinel over the Hollow Carnival's twisted realm, its secrets waiting to be unearthed, its terrors ready to be faced. And Lena Harper was no longer just a visitor, she was a challenger. But would courage be enough to break the cycle, or was she destined to become another whisper in the carnival's endless nightmare? The answer lurked just beyond the flickering shadows, waiting for the next step.